Okay, we are live. Hello to you. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on when you're listening to this. Good to see you here, and I've got something pretty special on for you today. So let me know if you're here. Say hello in the chat box, depending on where you're listening. Let me know whether you're listening on YouTube or on Facebook or on LinkedIn before we get the show going. Say hi in the comments and let me know where you are dialing in from, watching from today. Are you watching from your garden? Are you watching from the beach? What a glorious day it is. Here in the UK, of course. I'm not sure how it is over the pond. It might still be the morning time there. But yeah, let me know. Say hello in the chat box before we get going in a minute or two. I want to see who's here. I want to see that you can hear us okay and see us okay. And we'll get cracking very shortly. So don't be shy. Say hello in the chat box. Let me know that you're listening. If you're on Facebook, then I'm afraid, oh, thank you, Neil. Very good of you to put your name in there. So I know who you are. But if you're on Facebook and you haven't clicked on the link above to allow Facebook to show your name, I won't know who you are. So if you're on Facebook, just add your name in afterwards if you haven't clicked that link so I can say hello to you without calling you a Facebook user like someone from rainy Devon there. So, unfortunately, that's pretty surprising because here it's absolutely baking. And we're not that far away from Devon along the coast in Southampton. So yeah, let me know if you are here, say hello and we'll get cracking in a minute or two. I'm guessing people on Facebook can see me. Is anyone here on LinkedIn? If you're watching on LinkedIn, say hello. If you're watching on YouTube, say hello as well. Come on, show us some love. Give us some encouragement here before we get going. Hello, Neil. Thank you very much. You've clicked on the link now. Fantastic. Love it. Good to see you here. Yeah, so we're Abbas, fantastic. So we've got someone from LinkedIn. So I know LinkedIn feed is working. Facebook is working. Anyone here on YouTube? If you're watching on YouTube, let me know. I think there is StreamYard is telling me there's a few people watching on YouTube. So let me know if that is you. Hello to you, Abbas. Hello to another Facebook user. If you're on Facebook, put your name in afterwards so I can see who you are. Another one from Willow Garden City from Facebook. I don't know who you are if you haven't clicked the link. So put your name in afterwards. Hey there, Jamie. Good to see you. Hello there, Amar. Hi from Amar. I don't know where you're based. Where are you based, Amar? Hello there, Graham, listening from Bergerac. Very hot aircon flat out. I can imagine. God, that must be warm. Hello there, Abdul Chowdhury. Where are you? So yeah, let me know. Just make it a bit more interesting. Let me know where you are based so I can call you out by name. Okay, so today's episode is with an exceptional accountant, as they all are, all my episodes with other accountants, because they're all fantastic, doing great things. And the purpose of these live sessions is to share knowledge and to see what's working for others to help you in your journey. Because, you know, it's phenomenal, the opportunity that we have these days to learn from each other, which simply wasn't around 10, 20 years ago when I first started my practice back in 2008. So these sessions are really valuable. Make sure you use them. Ask any questions that you have along the way, because you can learn so much from others who have gone on a similar journey as you. You don't have to learn everything yourself. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to follow others who have been where you are and do what they have done to get results. And that is how we achieve success. So use these sessions, put your comments and questions in the chat box, and let's make it an interactive event, because I have with me someone called Ben Sztejka. Sztejka, isn't it? Did I get that right? Ben?
Sztejka, yeah, that's it.
Sztejka, fantastic. Ben who runs a firm called Your E-Commerce Accountant. Now, we'll get on to his story in a second, but an exceptional story. Ben is not someone who you might see quite active on LinkedIn or Facebook. Certainly not. I hadn't come across him in terms of, and I've got 1,000 people on my Facebook group, and Ben wasn't in there. So a fairly quiet person when it comes to LinkedIn or Facebook, or maybe he's got his marketing sorted in terms of who he wants to reach out to, which we're going to learn about in a minute. But Ben has a really incredible and interesting journey, which we'll come on to very shortly. So let's crack on. As always, if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I will put them to Ben as we go on. So let's get things off. Hello, Ben. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm surviving the heat. I'm not in Devon. I'm in Somerset, so it's not raining here yet, but I'm hoping it is, because I've just re-turfed my lawn and I need some rain desperately.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the time when we need to get out those hoses and start watering. That's what my wife told me 2 days ago, and unfortunately, I haven't done what I was supposed to do. So I'm kind of in the doghouse. Hey ho. Yeah, we can't win. And either it's too hot, or it's too cold. It's never just right for us here in the UK, is it? Okay, so Ben, just to kick things off, tell us a little bit about you. Introduce yourself, your firm, and then we'll get on to your story. So over to you, Ben.
So my name is Ben Sztejka, and I'm the owner of Your E-commerce Accountant. It's an accountancy firm based 100% on targeting e-commerce customers who are selling on Amazon, Etsy, eBay, and Shopify. So we've niched down very much so, and they're the only companies we do touch. We started this, in 2020 really properly, and it's just kind of really kicked off from there.
Fantastic. So and I guess the title of this session is From 0 to 1 million in less than 3 years, which is absolutely phenomenal. So take us back to the beginning, Ben, in terms of when you first set up. What's your background? How did you get into setting up your own practice? And did you decide early on in terms of the kind of clients that you wanted to attract? So I'm very interested to hear from you on that point in terms of how you got into practice and then what you actually did to win your first few clients and whether you actually specialized early on or not.
Yeah, so I trained as an accountant with ICAW, and I went for the classic audit route, and then into a different practice after that. And I actually didn't like practice that much because I hated timesheets. It was just kind of like a meat grinder, and I didn't like it at all. So I went into industry for a bit, and I saw that the way industry tackle things is a lot more different. It's focused on process improvement, and you can really learn a lot by going into industry from an accounting background. And 3 years in, I was head of finance of in a company, and I thought, what, I think I can do this. I can implement tools and technology for other small businesses, and that's going to be my focus. So that was my focus. It's very vague. It was called Your Cloud Accountant. So very much everyone, and he was going to focus on kind of building that kind of tech stack to say that this is going to help you do the bookkeeping. This is going to help you do your accounts, and we're going to go from there. Obviously, that was way too vague. So getting a client was difficult because I couldn't really talk to them properly in the marketing spiel. So it was like, okay, just come and I'm doing accounting, I'm doing technology. Great. That's not really going to cut it. So it was a kind of a slog at the start. And I started realizing I was talking to clients who were selling on Amazon, Etsy, and eBay. And I found the conversation was just so easy, and I knew exactly what they were struggling with because I used to be an e-commerce seller. Basically, before I was an accountant, I used to sell for probably since the age I was 15, selling like RAM on the internet and things like that. So I kind of knew what the game was for Amazon, Etsy, and Shopify, and it meant that I could talk to clients properly and say, actually, this is what you're struggling with, and this is how I can help you. And it turned into something where actually, I was enjoying it more. I was getting more traction, and it was basically an e-commerce accounting firm. And I just absolutely went full hog and rebranded to Your E-commerce Accountant.
Brilliant. And how far in were you to your journey when you did that?
I did it really quick. I kind of believe in the mentality of, failing fast. If it's not working, sort it out, basically, because you can spend a year, just messing about. But actually, it was probably about 6 to 8 months in, I realized I need to just re-pivot completely into what is working. There's no point trying to be everything to everyone. So it was something which, I knew I needed to act on.
Okay. And was that just because you had quite a few e-commerce clients and you were finding that they're the ones that you got traction with and they're the ones you were winning and they're the ones that you added most value to that led you to think, actually, I could do with more of these and it's much easier to work with this client? Or was there something else? Was there something that you heard or someone else that you saw? Or was it just that kind of natural instinct to say, yes, this is working. I can see it's working. I'm going to do more of it and go all in on this particular niche.
Yeah, I think that's it. So I think when we started talking to people, it was clear that I could talk to e-commerce businesses really easily. And it meant that I could sell them really easily. Not only that, they're already online. So our offering is 100% online. All our staff are work from home before the pandemic as well. So we were really well set up to take on the pandemic. And as the pandemic started, we had re-pivoted to your e-commerce accountant, and it just went nuts. It people were just going online, finding their accountant. They were more open to getting an accountant online. And there were e-commerce businesses anyway who wanted someone who was specialized in their platforms anyway. So it just kind of really suited. And I think it was mostly instinct that I moved over because it was easier. I understood it, but I felt I could add more value as well. It just felt like I was helping them out more than any other kind of segment.
Absolutely. This is music to my ears, because this is stuff that I talk to accountants all the time. Because one of the big challenges is, how do we find new business? How do we get new clients? And everybody does the thing of trying to appeal to everyone. But as I always say, when you appeal to everyone, you actually appeal to no one. And it's only when you kind of niche down and specialize and get clear on who it is that you want to attract that you start to generate the inquiries that you really want. Because, there's no point being, something to everyone. You want to be everything to someone. And marketing is simply about, like you say, getting inside the conversation that's happening in someone's mind. And you can only do that if you're very clear on who you serve. You decided to pick the e-commerce accountants because you dealt with quite a few of them. You yourself were an e-commerce seller. So like you say, you understood the problems and challenges that they had and were able to position yourself as someone that could solve their problems. And that's what, being an accountant is all about. It's about problem solving. And our marketing has to be addressed to the problems that people are facing, because let's face it, people aren't just randomly browsing accountants' websites and looking at accountant stuff on LinkedIn. They only take action when they are in pain. So we need to get better at articulating what is the problem that's causing that pain. And when we lead with the problem, we're more likely to get people to take notice of our message when they are looking, when they are in pain, because they can see that we can solve that problem for them. So that's great that you kind of decided to do that early on, and really that's helped you to get the success that you have in such a short space of time. So talk to me about that journey. How did you go from, just starting up, making the pivot in the pandemic in, 2020 to now hitting nearly $1 million turnover by, within less than 3 years? What's your journey, kind of year 1, year 2, year 3? How did you handle such fast-paced growth, in terms of the challenges that you would have, the team, the software? Talk to us about the critical things that you did to manage that growth, and how fast did that growth come from year 1, year 2, and so on?
Yeah, I think so year 1, pretty slow. It was about getting those systems together. I was doing most of it. It was all me. I was adding all the value, and I wasn't really outsourcing it to anyone in terms of anyone in the team. And at that, you kind of get to a point in that kind of year 1, you've got about 100 clients, and you think, I need to do something, or else I'm not going to be able to scale, and I can't scale properly unless I hire people. And I think, again, it's kind of like anticipating the demand and hiring people before it becomes an issue, because there's crunch points, especially around year 1. There's a crunch point in terms of like, I couldn't answer a lot of these emails because of the volume. Some were just silly little admin ones, when actually I could get someone else to do that. And so what I did is I kind of went through what I did in the practice, and just slowly created job roles and almost outsourced everything to team members. We don't outsource obviously overseas, but we get team members in the UK to kind of do the bookkeeping element, to do the accounting element. And then I'm there adding value to maybe like a more nuanced conversation, or doing like a thought leadership piece on new legislation and things like that. So I think the crux point was year 1. I think we scaled really well during the pandemic, and again it kind of got to the point where I was doing too much again, and that was down to me not letting go and going, oh no, only I can do this. And actually, by the time it was halfway through the pandemic, and I thought, either I need to stop doing this, or I need to think of something else. And what we did was, we implemented like a customer service email, which actually is run by like software like Zendesk and Freshdesk, isn't it, the other one? And so it means everyone in the team can answer. We can then pivot who, if I can't answer that, someone can just pass it on, and it becomes really efficient at answering queries. And obviously the workflow we started creating workflows in Center and things like that, which is annoying that Center's, I think, who have they been bought by? They've been bought by Iris, haven't they?
Iris.
I don't know if that's going to be annoying or not, because they're going to make their own solution. I don't know if I'm going to have to redo all my automation. I've kind of got that up. But we focused heavily on automating the workflows and making it work for us. The kind of, I kind of let it, when I first got it, I just had it as a standalone piece, where you kind of just, it creates a task for you. And we soon found that we just need to not really do it all, but kind of go through those workflows so that there's a clear responsibility where I need to step in and where team members need to step in. And I think we're now at the point where I am still heavily involved, probably in sales and marketing, and that this is the last piece of the puzzle, which I want to kind of get off my desk and then I can focus on other things. But that's the last piece I'm in there. I quite enjoy that anyway, but I understand to scale further, I need to step back again from the sales and marketing aspect.
Brilliant. Yeah. It's a typical kind of thing that we see in terms of, when we start out the practice, we're doing everything and we're reluctant to let go because we don't feel that anyone else can do it better than we can. But if you really want to actually be an entrepreneur and be that business owner rather than just a technician, then it's absolutely the thing that we have to do. We have to be able to let go and give our team the support, the coaching, the processes that they need to be able to do it to the standard that you would expect. And that's how, that's when workflows and process notes and all those things that we can put in place to make sure that it's done to the level that we would expect it. And there's great tools out there that allow us to do that. So great that you kind of did that early on. What is when did you actually make your first hire then? What kind of level of turnover were you at where you started making your first hire and then subsequent hires? Because you've got a team of 10 now. So within a couple of years, you've gone from 0 to a team of 10. Talk me through that journey as to when you made your first hire and then subsequent hires and what level of turnover were you at?
Yeah, so I think the first level of turnover is around 100K turnover is when we got our first hire in, maybe a bit earlier than that. And the decision was like, yes, I'll have less profit in the short term, but in 2 months' time, it'll be absolutely fine as long as as long as the kind of marketing goes how I think it's going to go. And then really from there in, it was every 3 months we'd add a new head, and it's the most challenging thing is filling those roles, especially before the pandemic. It was easy. That's when we had our first hires. When the pandemic happened, it's kind of, and after, it's become really hard actually to attract decent staff at the moment. So we're basically always recruiting. So we have to always have a job advert out there. We have to be interviewing candidates all the time. So yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge we've had. But it's every 3 months we hire, and it's kind of like 2 junior accountants, then 1 senior accountant kind of thing. That's the kind of formula we go with, just so it's not too either top focus where they're managing too many members of staff. It's quite a nice 5-man teams kind of going at it.
Okay, talk to me about your structure then. So you've got how many senior accountants and how many junior accountants, and do they can they then handle? Is it like a pod where they handle a portfolio of clients between them?
So we have 2 senior accountants, and they then handle 3 junior accountants who do basically everything for the client, and then the senior accountant does the corporation tax, annual accounts, and then I review those. And the way we allocate it is a new client comes in, and I just look at the workload of each group, and then I allocate it to that group, and we kind of look at obviously the VAT deadlines to make sure that it's not too stacked on certain months. And that's really it. I think the next stage is to kind of get that accounting manager to kind of then start doing the reviewing process as well.
Fantastic. Good stuff. And so again, just focusing more on this recruitment, which is again huge challenge for many accountants out there with how do we find new clients, how do we get good staff, how do we attract the best talent? How have you gone? What kind of what avenues have worked for you in finding good people, which continues to be a challenge for not just accountants but most businesses to recruit?
I actually find it harder getting staff than getting clients. I think it's easy to kind of get clients because we've got the engine. If you've got your marketing engine built, it's easy to get the clients and start talking to them and finding them. And then when you look for staff, it's actually a lot harder, because it's almost, you're doing a marketing job again. You're trying to sell to someone why they should come over to you, and why maybe they should leave their current firm and join us. And I think initially, I tried to go on Indeed and traditional sites, but also posting a job on LinkedIn, and we'd get some people, but they weren't really the right people. So I just kind of flipped it around and just went on LinkedIn and started messaging a lot of people directly, saying that, hi, we've got this opportunity, it'd be great to see if we could chat, see if we could talk about coming over to us. So if I've been messaging your staff, that's my fault, sorry. So I've just basically been doing the job of a recruiter, rather than either we don't outsource the recruitment. It's really key that we know who we're dealing with.
Amazing. So talk to me a bit more about that then, the intricacies of how are you doing that? Did you get LinkedIn's the Sales Navigator tool, the recruiter tool, or did you because you've got a remote team, right? So I guess your people are all across the UK. Did you kind of just search for account assistants and then just start connecting and direct messaging anyone that took your fancy?
That's it. So we've got Sales Navigator. I'm just seeing all my stuff are UK based, by the way, just a comment there. But we went on Sales Navigator, and obviously I've got the pick of the bunch then, because I think it's national. And really, it used to be that if I said remote, people would bite my hand off. Now everyone's basically remote or offer some kind of hybrid working, that actually it's harder for us to kind of attract people over. So, we've had to pay, a higher rate to get the right staff. But no, we go on Sales Navigator, put in, say, their job titles: assistant accountant, junior accountant, senior accountant, working in accounting practice, who's been active on LinkedIn for the last 2 weeks or whatever it is. And then we just go through the list and message them and say, hi, I love your profile. And it's about, it's not just about, sending spam out there. You read their profile and actually comment on it and make sure that, they're the right fit. And I've approached you because of this reason. And actually we got a good response rate. And, even if it was like, oh, I'm not looking right now, but thank you, I'd rather that than just like a blank inbox where we just sent out a random email saying, do you want to work for us? Don't care who you are.
Absolutely. And I guess, and what are your kind of conversion rates, as it were? How many people do you have to message to get on a call with someone? And is it just you doing that? I guess that takes up a lot of time, right?
Yeah. So it's obviously not me who kind of sits there and talks to those initial connections and messages. I've got, say, admin staff who do that. And, I just kind of show them what I want them to do, and they go off and do it. But then when it comes to talking to them, it's all me. But the conversion rate is bad. It takes about 50 people before you have a good conversation with someone.
Yeah.
So it is intensive, and I think you have to put the effort in to get that right person, because it's such a high risk that, especially working remotely, you need to be able to trust this person from day one. And it's not something where I can have them in the corner of the office and I know if they're struggling, if they're not communicating, I'll know. I need to trust them from day one to communicate, to say when they're struggling, to raise their hand when they need support and things like that. So I had to talk to a lot of people before we got the right staff.
Yeah, that's so true. We need to approach recruiting the same way that we approach prospecting for clients for our accounting firm. We need to make sure that we are projecting ourselves in a way that we are marketing our firm and how we are and how we operate to prospective staff, prospective employees, because there's a shortage of supply. You've got to make your workplace an attractive proposition for someone to want to move to you, just like you've got to make your value proposition for prospective clients to want to move away from their current accountant to you. So we have to focus on things like, getting clear on who you serve and having an online presence and being active on social media and talking about your culture and all that kind of thing is absolutely paramount if we want to get the cream de la creme and the best crop that's out there in terms of talent for our accounting firm. So talk to me about what are some of the angles, the tactics that you use in terms of your questioning, your interview process, what are the things that you believe is the reason why people come to you and want to work for your firm and move away from where they are at, to see if, we can take some practical takeaways for others to incorporate into their processes?
Yeah, I think for me, I go through my interview technique is basically telephone screener call, where I just make sure they're a normal human being, and that we could work together and that we can have a conversation for 10, 15 minutes. And then once they've got past that stage, it's like a Teams interview, Zoom, and we have a chat. And I try and make it as conversational as possible. I don't really like the tell me a time when you did some really good accounting. I'm not gonna do that. But what makes them tick? What do they really enjoy? What didn't they like about their last role? Why are you thinking of moving? What is it about us that you like? And then we can start talking about how we work, how it can work for you, how we can do flexible working, but also we can invest. We're not just doing remote team where we send out work and you do it, you send it back. We're gonna invest in you. If you want to continue doing, say, AAT or ACCA, you can continue moving. And because it's so niche that you kind of build up a knowledge base, there's no reason why new staff junior accountants can't become senior accountants can't become accounting managers. So it's a great way of just kind of just talking to them, really, and just getting to know them as a person, and working on that basis, rather than say doing the transactional tell me a time when you did this. And I just don't think when you need to trust them to work from home and to communicate, I think the key thing is, do they get on with me? Do they get on with other members of the team? Will they fit in, really?
Yeah, fantastic. And what do you hear in terms of the reasons why they agreed to come on board with you? What do you feel that you have that others don't, that people then accept your offer to come on board with them and then stay with you?
I think it's the flexibility that we offer. I think originally the staffing plan was, this is like 2019, the staffing plan was always going to be remote. And that was because you had a lot of people who kind of, especially in the accounting and bookkeeping sector, who kind of leave the workplace to have, say, children or look after, grandparents. And accounting places weren't very friendly places for remote work. And we thought that was a great way of getting really highly skilled people, maybe part-time, working flexibly, to return to the workplace without having to abandon their commitments at home. And then the pandemic happened, and they kind of caught up with us, and everyone kind of did it. But what we still kind of say is, like, look, we're flexible. We're flexible before the pandemic. We're going to continue to be flexible. We're never going to ask you to come in, and it's not about hybrid working. It's just about trusting you as a person and you getting on with it. And I think the key thing, which a lot of people like, and I think a lot of people hate about accounting firms, is timesheets. We don't have timesheets. I think they're just a waste of time. I remember when I did a timesheet when I worked in practice, and then you look at it again and think the partner's changed this to 8 hours of admin randomly just to keep his fees down or something, and you're like, well, that's not why do the timesheet then if you're going to change it? So I just thought it was stupid. I thought the timesheets are just a horrible kind of metric to kind of measure success. I think people like that. I think people like the trust. If I'm there trusting you, I'm not recording your screen, I'm not doing anything like that. And I think people really appreciate that.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, music to my ears. Yeah, timesheets, absolutely waste of time. If you've made them up, then what's the point relying on them? And people's worth is not limited to the hours that they clock on the timesheet, which most of the time are made up anyway. So yeah, it's a great point you made there about the trust, and that's really important. People want to be able to be trusted in the workplace and the work that they are doing, to be able to have that self-direction, that autonomy, together with the accountability of what's expected to them, to then work towards something that's improving their skill set, where they're learning every day and they have a team around them that they can lean on, that they're adding value to. That's what kind of our team members want. So fantastic that you are creating that culture which helps to attract the best talent and retain your high performers by maximizing everyone's potential. Okay, so if you've got any questions, put them in the comments and I will put them to Ben. Here's one coming in from Marzouk on Facebook. What does your tech stack look like? E-commerce has a lot of complex moving parts. Do you recommend any particular software and tools for managing inventory and integrating with Xero?
Right, yeah, here, that's the main question. So for e-commerce, obviously you've got all the platforms, Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify, they all act slightly differently, Amazon being the most complex one. And you have got software available out there. You've got Link My Books, you've got A2X, and as good as they are, they're aimed at, say, the DIY market, where someone will want to, have Xero and then just have it, oh, I'll automate this, so I don't have to have a bookkeeper. And what that means is that when it comes to reconciling it, and especially when it comes to onto HMRC, it's almost impossible to then use that data to prove, to review or whatever. And we moved away from those kind of DIY software features, and we created our own software which connects into Amazon and kind of outputs it how an accountant would want to see it. So, like a sales listing, a selling fees listing, an advertising listing, and then a payout listing, so you can reconcile it to cash. So we've had to basically create our own software to deal with this. And the key thing is we use QuickBooks and Xero. We don't lean on either one. So we basically had to do our own thing. For other things like Shopify, Etsy, and eBay, we actually connect into their stores directly, and we pull it out directly, because again, it's 1 month report per month. It's a lot easier than trying to reconcile some automated software which does it weekly, and you have to basically run the software again. Sorry, the reports again to check that the software has got everything in it. It's not that sometimes the software will miss it, or they haven't, or it's wrong because they've not set it up right. So we ended up doing a lot of things manually, and then where it didn't make sense to be manual, we've actually created our own software. So it is difficult to kind of get it right. And I think the key thing with all these things is learn to do it yourself first. So manually. So if you want to get into Amazon and start selling to people on Amazon, learn how to download the date range report and VAT transactions report and do it yourself before you start outsourcing things. Because if you don't know how to then review the software, what good are you? And I think that was the key thing we found. And actually, when we talk to clients, they feel a lot better that we've created our own software, and we are like the forerunners, the front runners, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. And again, that is another beauty and advantage of getting crystal clear on who you serve. Because you just serve e-commerce businesses, you've got more incentive to go out and find solutions for those businesses to make your life easier. So you can add a lot of value to them because you understand their problems and challenges. You then know you've got all of these clients to deal with, and the current off-the-shelf products aren't great at you being able to efficiently service them. So because you're only dealing with those type of clients, you can invest time and money in finding a solution, creating your own software that's going to generate so much more in terms of efficiency for you going forward. And that's how we generate profitability. I mean, it's a simple equation in terms of how can we maximize profit? Well, we basically we charge as much as we can, and that comes from knowing who we serve, because that's how we add most value. And then on the other end, how can we make our processes as efficient as possible so that what comes out at the end is as big as possible. So that's fantastic that you've been able to do that. So talk us through kind of your journey. How did you suddenly realize, and how did you kind of get onto that track of, right, we need to create our own software? What did you do? Did you have any developer contacts that you went to? Did you have a developer kind of skill set? Talk us through a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it kind of became evident that the software solutions we were using just weren't really working for us anymore, because we were getting to the point where we were so good at it that we knew exactly what it should be telling us. And it ended up us going and doing a lot of things manually where we didn't need to. So at that point, you think, well, what do I do here? They've got an API which we can connect into. And I think, I set out to use a tech stack to basically handle a lot of the work. And if it's not doing that, then I'm not really hitting my goals. And I just reached out to someone who is a developer, and I said, look, this is what I want. And I kind of did a lot of the research on the API myself. I'm not a developer myself, but I did a lot of the research, and I knew what elements I needed to get out, and I kind of wireframed it in Excel, and I said, this is how I want to output it. Once I'd done the wireframe, I said, look, go and build it, and it built it. We worked together, and we built something which actually is very usable, and it actually works for our whole client base, and it works exactly how we want to do it as accountants. So I think that's really what we wanted. But it was it's a lot of hours. It still is a lot of hours. We're still developing it, rolling out Shopify, Etsy, and eBay into that software. And it's really finding those hours in the day where I can sit down and kind of review the software with the developer. It's late nights, a lot of testing. It's less glamorous than you think.
But it's all well worth it, right? Because it's going to make your processes a lot more efficient. It's going to be tailored to exactly your custom workflows. So it's definitely going to be worth it in the long run. And of course, now that you've got a product that other accountants can use, it can be another income stream for you as well. So if you're listening, I think Ben has a product that he's looking to now roll out to other accountants. So watch this space, because I'm sure that will be coming soon from Ben. So thank you, Julian. So next question from Julian. Could you let us know what marketing channels have worked in particular for you?
So it's difficult to say which ones work for each niche, but for e-commerce, what we did was I looked at, say, the kind of Google rankings, and I kind of did an assessment on how competitive it was. And actually, at the time, it wasn't very competitive. So I thought, let's just focus on SEO and organic traffic, along with some PPC. So what we did was did PPC for the first. Well, we still do it, but 90% PPC in the first year or two, as we were spending a lot of money on SEO to get us to page 1 and all the kind of key terms. And because we've invested so much money into that SEO and got up there with content, we did content, we did outreach, we did backlinks, we created a decent website. We made it so you could go on the website and book a call on Calendly really easily. You could ask me a question. It's a free consultation with an accountant. It's not just some sales bot who's going to kind of force down a solution you don't necessarily need. Really, so it's really just that we kind of set it all up just so people can come in directly. And it's worked really well.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I always say, once you get crystal clear on the who you serve, then the what, where, and how to find your ideal clients becomes so much easier. If you just did SEO and you're a generalist accountant, you're going to find it hard pushed to get any meaningful results. If you were just trying to rank for accountant in Southampton or accountant in London, then you're going to get pretty crappy results from SEO, because the kind of people who are searching those search terms aren't the greatest of clients. They're the kind of clients who want something for nothing. But once you've got crystal clear on your niche, so someone actually typing in e-commerce accountant means that they value working with a specialist. When they know they're talking to a specialist, they're going to be prepared to pay more. So absolutely, SEO works when you are crystal clear on your niche and when you're creating valuable content for your niche, and you get to become an authority and a credible source for that particular niche. Then things like SEO and Facebook ads can work wonders. But in the absence of actually getting crystal clear on who you serve and being a specialist and niching down, it's just going to be hot air and noise. You're going to throw good money after bad. So thanks for sharing that with us, Ben. And the question coming in from Neil: do you find that outbound marketing has led to clients who might not fit your ideal profile? I'm not sure you've done outbound marketing, have you? If you've just done SEO, have you done any outbound marketing?
Outbound being, define it, just so I know.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, maybe Neil, I think you mean inbound marketing. Because that's what Ben was talking about, kind of generating inbound leads by the value you're putting out there. So by putting out, blog posts and all that kind of good stuff on your website, you are putting value out in the world for inquiries to come into you, as opposed to outbound, which is having to prospect, going to find clients, going out hunting for new business, as opposed to, planting the seeds and letting people come to you. So I guess let's answer it on that from that perspective. Assume you meant inbound. Has that led to clients coming in that might not fit your ideal profile?
Yeah, well, the great thing is one, if there's several things really. So one is when they come in, they're normally typing Amazon accountant or e-commerce accountant. So they're basically qualified themselves. So they're already a qualified lead. Then they go on the website, they're looking at, yeah, this is what I want, because it's very clear about what we serve. And then they book a call and they have to leave a description in terms of what they want to call about. So I know exactly what they want when we come to the call. So then it actually means that if 90% of people, 99% of people who book the call is already pre-qualified, and actually it's it means that there's no not ideal fit. Someone's not an ideal fit when they come in and say, look, I've had 3 accountants the last 3 years and they're all doing it wrong. They're probably ones to avoid. But in terms of market, we never really get any kind of people who don't fit the profile. But before we kind of niche down, we did. We got, oh, hi, I'm doing a charity. No, sorry, we don't do that. We used to do that, but before we niched absolute down in all the marketing. Or paid versus organic, I think he's qualified this. So paid versus organic. So again, with the paid stuff, we're bidding on the same term we're ranking on. We're not bidding on anything which we know is not a money term. We're not there yet. We don't need to do that yet. I think we're ranking, say, number 1, number 2 on e-commerce accountant, and we're also paying for that term as well, just to make sure we're all over the place. And you'll find that the better you are at SEO, the lower you'll pay for that click. So if you started bidding on it, it'll be 20 quid per click, whereas it would be £2 for me, because Google have already seen that I'm relevant and they want people to click on that link. So they want their advertisers to be relevant.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so much you can do to kind of generate that organic traffic for SEO, working with a specialist who kind of understands the placement of terms and headings and answering the questions that people are putting into Google to make sure your content is ranking. And then it's all about just putting fuel on the fire. Once you see stuff that's working, then throwing money on it will just help it work better. So yeah, absolutely. But it all happens once you get clear on the who. Get clear on the who, the what, how, and where to find them will become so much easier. So if you've got any questions for Ben, we've got a couple of minutes left. Put them in there. I'll take one more question if we have. Otherwise, Ben, what's kind of the one or the top 3 lessons that you have learned from running your practice that you can share with the audience in the short time that you have been running your practice? What do you think has kind of helped you to get the phenomenal growth that you have of getting to £1 million in less than 3 years?
I think finding a niche, but then finding a niche which has got legs. There's no point saying, I'm going to go for a niche which is, I don't know what it would be, cricket clubs, even though that's probably quite a good one actually. But so which is people won't want to spend money on, that it's not high growth. Go for a decent niche. Think about something which you enjoy doing, that you can talk about, and that you can add value to, and then absolutely double down on it. So then say you know everything about it. Don't just stop at the accounting. Go deeper into how they market, what they want, who they're talking to, who their customers are, and really just kind of nail down that niche. And I think once you get to that point, you could be quite bad at marketing and still get people who ring up, and then you kind of wow them with all the knowledge you've got on that topic, and like, I need to work with you. And I think that's that. I never really say, oh, by the way, you can buy from us. We always let people say, let's sign up, because we want to wow them on the call and go from there. And we do that because we're so niche down and we know our stuff. I think the other one would be, I did this alone. It's quite lonely to have an idea and then to go at it full hog. You'll hear people say that won't work, or I don't know what you want about, or people like your friends, your family, they won't understand it, and you kind of need to have that kind of self-assuredness to go for it without wasting all your money if it doesn't work. So I think that was the one thing. It's quite a lonely place. And 2 is just anticipate demand. If you can anticipate demand by putting systems in there, make your job redundant, get staff in at the right times, you're gonna be able to scale quickly without too many teething issues.
Fantastic. Some real gems there. So if you're listening, take heed of Ben's advice on how he has managed to scale and grow his firm as quick as he has done, the importance of niche and specializing. I hope, it's, again, sometimes you've got to hear something over and over again quite a few times before it really sinks in. So yeah, it may have heard it from me and it's gone over your head, and now you're hearing it again from someone else who's actually made it work in their practice. So, take heed of this advice from people who are actually doing it and it's actually working. So if you're struggling to grow, if you're struggling to win business for your accounting firm, then this is definitely an area that you need to focus on, getting clear on the who, because then the rest becomes so much easier. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ben, for sharing some time with us today and sharing some insights from your journey. If people want to get in touch with you, want to reach out to you, perhaps to find out about, the e-commerce solution that you have when you start rolling it out, where should they go?
So obviously you can add me on LinkedIn. That's just Google my name. I'm the only person I think in the world with my name, because I think it's made up. But yeah, go on my name, go on LinkedIn, add me. But there's also some free e-commerce training we've got, which is if you go to www.ecomledger.co.uk, you can find some free e-commerce training, and that will take you through how to do Amazon manually. So then you can then think about how you can serve clients. Maybe you've got a client who is got a shop and they've got an Amazon business, and you're a bit worried that maybe you don't know what to do on Amazon. Go there, get the free training, and then we'll hopefully be rolling out that software solution very shortly as well.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, Ben. Feel free to pop that link in the comments, Ben. So if someone watching this on replay will get to see it, and other people can go directly to it. So if you have watched it on replay and you've enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. If you've attended today and enjoyed it, again, thumbs up. If you're listening on a podcast, hope you've enjoyed the takeaways from today's episode. If you're not already in our Facebook group, come and join the Transform Your Profits Facebook group, as you can see over there in the top corner. And if you're not already subscribed to the podcast, then get subscribed, because there's 2 episodes dropping there every single week. Value-packed content for you if you are an accountant, practice owner on your own. The second best content I put out after my paid mentoring program. So get onto that if you're not already. So thank you very much for your time today. Take care, and I'll catch up with you on the next episode. Thanks again, Ben. Take care and speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot.